Hello my dear students, welcome back to your English class. Now today students, we will start a new chapter from your Honeysuckle book for class 6 and the name of the chapter is A Different Kind of School. It is unit number 5. Now this chapter's explanation will be divided into two videos. This is the first video. Before explaining the chapter, I will discuss some facts about the author E.V. Lucas. Let's look at the board. Unit 5, A Different Kind of School by E.V. Lucas, that is Edward Verrall Lucas. Edward Verrall Lucas. He was an English humorist, essayist, playwright, biographer, publisher, poet, novelist, short story writer and editor. Born to a Quaker family in Eltham on the fringes of London, Lucas began work at the age of mere 16 years, apprenticed to a bookseller. He was born on June 1868, Eltham, London, United Kingdom. He died 26 June 1938, Marylebone, London, United Kingdom. Some important works of E.V. Lucas are The Face on the Wall, A Book of Words for Children, Songs of the Bat. There are many more. Now, we will go into the explanation of the chapter A Different Kind of School. Now, by the name, we come to know that this school is somewhat different from the traditional conventional schools. I had heard a great deal about Miss Beam's school. So, this school is owned by Miss Beam, but not till last week did the chance come to visit it. So, the author, he visited this school after knowing that this school was somewhat different from others. When I arrived, there was no one in sight but a girl of about 12. That is, there was a girl of about 12 years. Her eyes were covered with a bandage and she was being led carefully between the flower beds by a little boy. So, her eyes were covered with a bandage and she was being led by a little boy who was 4 years younger to her. Who was about 4 years younger. She stopped and it looked like she asked him who had come. He seemed to be describing me to her. Then they passed on. So she inquired, that is, she had the feeling that somebody has come. So she inquired from the boy that who has come. The boy described the author to her and finally they moved on. Miss Beam was all that I had expected. So I had framed in my mind how would Miss Beam look. Now Miss Beam was exactly like that. This was the author's thinking. Miss Beam was all that I had expected, middle-aged, full of authority. That is, she was a middle-aged woman and she was full of authority. That means she was a very confident lady. Yet kindly and understanding. Yet she was very much kind and understanding. Her hair was beginning to turn grey. That means with age her hair was graying. And she had the kind of plump figure that is likely to be comforting to a homesick child. And the figure which she had was very much motherly sort of, which could give comfort to a homesick child. I asked her some questions about her teaching methods, which I had heard were simple. So, the author inquired about the various teaching methods and he also came to know that they were very much simple. No more than is needed to help them to learn how to do things. Simple simple spelling, adding, subtracting, multiplying and writing. So, nothing special was done in that school. Simple teaching, that is adding, subtraction, multiplication, writing work, all these things. Okay. The rest is done by reading to them and by interesting talks. So, there were discussion sessions and reading was done there. And they had to be attentive, the students had to be attentive in the class so that they can listen to the discussions very carefully. During which they have to sit still and keep their hands quiet. That is, they should not be fidgety. There are practically no other lessons. So this was very much simple. Nothing difficult. The real aim of this school is not so much to teach thought as to teach thoughtfulness. So the real aim of the school which Miss Beam owned was not to teach thought, that is ideas about various subjects, but to teach thoughtfulness, that is the students or the children should be thoughtful, sympathetic, compassionate towards others. Kindness to others and being responsible citizens so that they can grow up to become responsible citizens of their country. Look out of the window a minute, will you? So, Miss Beam asked our author to look out of the window for a minute. I went to the window which overlooked a large garden and a playground at the back. So, there was a large garden and a playground at the back of it. What do you see? Miss Beam asked. So, Miss Beam inquired as to what did the author see. I see some very beautiful grounds. So, there were beautiful grounds which the author saw. I said, and a lot of jolly children, that is happy and cheerful children. It pains me though to see that they are not all so healthy and active looking. So, by the look, the students or the children looked as if they were not that much fit or healthy and they were not active looking. When I came in, I saw one poor little girl being led about. She has some trouble with her eyes. Now I can see two more with the same difficulty. And there's a girl with a crutch walking the others at play. That is, there's a girl who is carrying a crutch and she is watching the others while they are playing. Now, why this is done? To teach them misfortune, which is the reality of life. She seems to be a hopeless cripple. So, the author thinks that these children are not physically fit. They were having some problem. Miss Beam laughed. Oh no, she said, she is not really lame. This is only her lame day. The others are not blind either. It is only their blind day. So, it was for one lame day and for the others it was blind day. Now, I must have looked very surprised for she laughed again. Now, I didn't get it. That is, the author didn't understand. This is a very important part of our system. Now, Miss Beam explained that this was a very important part of their system of teaching to make our children appreciate and understand misfortune. That is, to make her students and her children, the children of the school, understand what is misfortune, how should we face misfortune, etc. We make them share in misfortune too. That is, if somebody is not that much fortunate, how you should help that person. All these things are taught in that school. Each term, every child has one blind day, one lame day, one deaf day, one injured day, and one dumb day. So they have to enact these days. That is, one day they are blind, one day they are injured, one day they are deaf, and the other day they are dumb. During the blind day, their eyes are bandaged absolutely, and they are on their honor not to peep. That is, their eyes were bandaged and they couldn't see, and they have to be loyal that they will not cheat or peep. The bandage is put on overnight so that they wake blind. This means that they need help with everything. So obviously we all know that a blind person needs help with everything. Other children are given the duty of helping them and leading them about, while the other children, the other students who were there in the school, they were given or allotted the duty to help these students so that they can do their normal work with their help. They all learn so much this way, both the blind and the helpers. Obviously, the blind understands what is to be blind, and the helpers understand that if somebody is not that much fortunate, how should we help that person? There is no misery about it. So, there is no distress in this. We should share misfortune because then it minimizes. Miss Beam continued, everyone is very kind and it is really something of a game. So everybody in her school was very kind and this was treated as some sort of a game by the children. Before the day is over, though, even the most thoughtless child realizes what misfortune is. So before the day ends, even the most thoughtless child understands what is misfortune, how one should deal with misfortune, and how you should help others if they are not that much fortunate. The blind day is, of course, really the worst. Obviously, because if we can't see, it is really very difficult to do our day-to-day work. But some of the children tell me that the dumb day is the most difficult. So, children have various sort of thinking. Some think that the blind day is difficult. Some think that the dumb day is difficult. We cannot bandage the children's mouth. We cannot bandage the children's mouth. So it becomes all the more difficult for that child because she has to or he has to forcefully do that. Now, we cannot bandage the children's mouths, so they really have to exercise their willpower. Obviously, it is a very difficult task. Come into the garden and see for yourself how the children feel about it. So, now Miss Beam asked the author to come to the garden and see how the children feel about these days. Till this, I have explained today. In the next video, I will complete the explanation of this chapter. Till then, goodbye everyone. Stay at home and be safe. Thank you everybody.